Hi, my name is Courtney Coach. I'm a licensed real estate agent here in New York City, and I'm here to coach New York. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about rental applications. We're going to be breaking down the documents that you're going to need, the rental application process. We're going to be talking about what landlords are going to be looking for in an application, and we're also going to give you some alternative routes in case your application gets denied or if you feel like your application isn't up to par. If you'd like to skip ahead, there are sections with times listed below that you can click on to save some time. If any of these sections resonate with you, then keep on watching. These are the standard documents you will need to submit an application: a photo ID or passport, 2 recent consecutive bank statements, 2 recent consecutive pay stubs, an employment or an offer letter, and the last 2 years of your tax returns. Now keep in mind that every management and landlord are completely different, so some may require more or less documents depending on the situation. I know what you're thinking. Why are so many documents required? Well, the landlords are higher at risk, so they just want to make sure they have someone who's going to pay the rent on time. So how does the application process work? Generally, to hold the apartment and take it off the market, you will need to hand over a deposit. This is called the good faith deposit, which is putting in your good faith that you will rent the apartment. This can be any amount, but it's typical to put down $500 to 1 month. If they don't request a deposit, you'll want to ask them if it's a first come, first served, or if they accept multiple applications. I will explain this later on in the video as to why it's important to know. Once you hand over a good faith deposit, this will buy you some time to get your application and documents in order if you haven't already. You can hand these documents in personally, but it's becoming more popular to scan and send by email, where the listing agent can download and send it to the landlord. After it has been reviewed, you will be notified if you've been approved or denied, or if you need to send more documents. In the event that you're approved, they will set a date for you to come in and sign a lease, and typically hand over a first month's rent, security, and a broker fee if there is one. Once this is signed, you'll get the keys and you're ready to move in. Landlords are typically looking for 3 things in an application. They want to see good credit, 40 times the annual rent, and they want to see proof of income. When looking at credit scores, about 675 and above seem to be the sweet spot, but this isn't to say they won't accept lower. If you're in this range, you might need to do some negotiating, but we'll get onto that a little bit later on. To know if you make 40 times the annual rent, you take the rent price of the apartment and multiply this by 40. Take, for example, a $2,000 apartment. The entire household should be making $80,000 a year. Please note that this is for the entire household, so this means you can combine incomes. For example, if 2 people make $40,000 a year, combining their income together will count for 40 times the annual rent. To show that you're making this income, they want to see proof, and certain documents will be able to show this. For example, simply looking at a bank statement will show the amount of income going in and out, but more importantly, the large deposits you receive from work or any income you may collect. Taxes are another great example, but probably one of the more solid documents that prove that not only are you working and receiving income, but that it's been a steady amount for the past 2 years. An employment letter is great because this shows that you are in fact working, making the desired yearly amount, but most of all, that you're in good standing with your employer. If you're worried that your tax returns won't match your new job, an offer letter from your company will usually suffice. This tells a landlord that money will be coming in at a steady pace, and here is the promise. Now for the alternative route. If your application isn't up to par and there's a chance you may be denied or already have been in the past, just know when there's a will, there's a way. Thankfully, everything in New York is negotiable, so if you hit the bar in some areas and not in others, you can play off that and work with what you got. Most people will land in one of these 3 boxes. You either have bad credit or make 40 times the annual rent, good credit but earn less than 40 times the annual rent, or bad credit and less than 40 times the annual rent. If you have bad credit and 40 times, you may have to offer up additional security anywhere from 2 to 6 months. Some landlords have even requested a full year up front, but don't get too excited because some might not accept it at all, even if you have a guarantor in this situation. If you land in this box, your chances are better because most landlords would rather have good credit than 40 times, but there's still a chance you might have to put up extra security, also depending on how less than 40 times you make. I've sometimes seen 3-month security on every $10,000 to $15,000 below the bar. If you're in this box, most people would say you should search for an apartment that fits your budget, but as I mentioned previously, Every landlord is completely different, and in rare cases, I've seen this rule broken. So in this case, I would highly suggest a real estate agent. If you're an applicant that needs a guarantor, you'll need to find someone who makes 80 times the rent. This person won't necessarily be on the lease, but they will be held responsible in the event the leaseholder doesn't pay the rent. If you don't know anyone who can be your guarantor, another option would be to find what I like to call a professional guarantor. Companies like Insurance act as a guarantor for a fee. I've never worked with them before, but I went to their frequently asked questions page, and it looks like they charge anywhere from 75 to 90% of a month's rent with U.S. credit history, and 110% of a month's rent without U.S. credit history. And lastly, if all else fails, there's a company called Bedley. I haven't personally worked with this company either, but I know that some have used their services, and it was a good option. You can rent anywhere from 1 month to 1 year, and according to their website, there is no paperwork involved. Now going back to the multiple application scenario, if a listing agent doesn't ask for a good faith deposit, it's important to ask if it's first come first served or if they accept multiple applications. If they accept multiple applications, this means that they are comparing yours to others that come in. This also means that they collect an application fee from everyone, and if they don't pick yours, there's a risk that you lose that fee. No situation is ever black and white, which is why it's important that you go over these details with your agent. Hope you guys got some real information from this episode. If there's anything that wasn't listed in this video, you can contact me at hello@CourtneyCoach.com, or you can go to CourtneyCoach.com and click on contact. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.